Life can change in an instant. For many wheelchair users, the struggle to push forward is a daily challenge.
After years of development and countless prototypes, we created Rib Grips, the revolutionary wheelchair hand rim covers with built-in ribs for ultimate grip and comfort.
No more slick surfaces, no more heat burns, just pure, reliable grip. Rib Grips, empowering you to push forward with ease. Rib Grips, get a grip on your freedom. Discover the difference. Visit ribgrips.com and use promo code GRIP today. You just found the perfect product that helps with staying cool during hot summer runs. No more gross warm water. Stay cool with this product from Gear Handle. This hydration tube cover helps keep your water cool and easily accessible. Stay hydrated during those long summer runs or even delay from freezing in the winter. Plus, they're compatible with various brands of water bladders and come in various colors. Visit gearhandle.com and use promo code H2O today.
BooBaes.
BooBaes. Howdy doody.
Howdy doody.
Howdy
Howdy
it.
day. How's your day? Hello. Actually,
Happy Monday. Hi and hello. I'm Joshua,
I'm Caitlin.
and we are reporting
Live.
from the Rogue Media Network studios.
Live coming to you tomorrow.
tomorrow. For real.
So not live.
We are your BooBaes.
We are. Your BooBaes.
We are here to talk about movies. And what kind of movies are we talking about?
Horror. Spooky.
Spooky movies.
Thriller. Sci-fi.
So many like subgenres and
but
ways you can go with
that
it.
is under the umbrella of
Horror. Umbrella. I just watched Resident Evil for the first time
Oh,
over the weekend.
the original?
The first one in Afterlife.
Okay.
So Umbrella reminded me of like Umbrella Corp or whatever it's called, right? Yeah. And then that just reminds me of Umbrella Academy, and then it just reminds me how excited I am for Umbrella Academy season 3.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I have not watched any of those because when it started coming out, I didn't have Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just was not dedicated to anything.
I feel that
I should watch it.
on a 100% level.
I did. Well, okay. I watched like 3 episodes
I'm not even
at
dedicated.
someone's house, and I was like, yeah, I like this.
Okay. Yeah.
I
No,
like this a lot.
It's really good. I mean, I say, but it's really good. But yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers. Hi. Hello.
Cheers. Hi. Hello.
I'm ready to talk about this movie. I'm excited.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
It's a favorite of. Is it a favorite or just one you really
I
like?
really like it.
You really.
I remember when I first watched it in the theater, way back when I was like, oh wow, it was really good. Yeah, it was like one of those two though. Like when I left though, I was kind of like still processing and like, how do I feel about that? And then in hindsight, I was like, no, yeah, I really liked how it went because of, I mean, you watched it.
Yeah.
I
I feel like in 2000. So, by the way, side note, we are talking about
The Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods. Yes, that's right. 2012.
Yes.
I feel like if I was to have watched this in 2012, I would not have appreciated it as much.
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel like it took 2 like viewings for me to be like, oh yeah, it is real good.
Okay. I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot to pick up on in the movie.
There is a lot. Yes.
And also too, it's not like any other horror movie.
No.
Like it's its own little niche of a genre of what it
Well.
is, because it's almost like what we got in with Scream franchise back in the day, but like a movie that like talks about other horror movies and the tropes in movies and how things get done in a horror movie.
Yeah.
With us like being like, it's like breaking the fourth wall.
It's like Scream meets The Truman Show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I
But
love that's really
death.
funny. Yeah. But yeah, overall, no, I just really liked it back then. Rewatching it now, there's a lot of things that I didn't even catch back then that I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize like that had happened or something. Like the man on the roof that was like they're going that way. Like for some reason, calling back, I don't really remember that being like
It's
a big
such a
point.
like
It's such a small little
minor
detail,
part
but like really in hindsight, it's really driving the whole narrative. Like this whole thing is like
set up exactly
from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, because I
just before we even started watching with them. Like the whole planning of like this is his cousin's like place and they're going and leaving all of them together. Yeah.
I love at the end. I don't even think Kurt has a cousin. I was wondering. I was like, damn, what kind of shitty ass cousin is setting them up to be literally murdered?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It was a good ride though. I watched it yesterday. Got tad distracted at the end. As you do.
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah, it does. And you know,
depends on who you're watching with.
Exactly. It's a good get you going. And then, anyways, I watched it again this morning because I was like, I have no clue what happens at the end.
Yeah.
Because, I was
sometimes you gotta
focusing on other things.
And that's okay, you know. I do it all the time. At the water. Oh, there we go. So at the beginning of the movie, if we want to just dig in, I love how it starts already with like us going into like this office kind of situation or underground office situation with
and then even like before that it gives you like the ritualistic scenes happening in the blood so it seems like really like set up like it's gonna be something and it's brief but like you're seeing kind of like the sacrifice and like so they're putting it in very subtly there but then then it cuts to the office.
It's foreshadowing.
And so I was like harsh cut to an office, what?
Yeah.
And the man's just sitting there
at this point. Did you realize already that like, oh, I've never seen this before?
No, because both of those actors are so familiar that I was just like,
oh, I've seen this before.
Yeah. And I was sitting there thinking,
well, the guy who played Hartley or what was his name?
Hadley I think, is from the
from Get Out.
Yeah, he's the dad from Get Out. And then what was the other one? Stid I don't know. I've got their names written in here somewhere. But yes, they've both been in quite a few things.
A lot of movies.
And so at first I was like, huh. But then they started talking about things and as they like got deeper into it, I was like, okay, no.
Yeah.
I have not seen this. Thought I had. I got all the other cabin themed films confused in my head.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, because this one builds up on the trip of the cabin theme.
The more that like people around me had talked about it, like you and Mike, and then there's another like a listener of the podcast who this is his favorite horror film. So the more that like y'all kind of talked about it around me and stuff or to me, I was like, yeah. And then I was like, I started really thinking, maybe I have not seen this movie, or I'm remembering something entirely different. And then yes, as we got about like 3 minutes into the film, I was like, oh no, I've never seen this.
That is funny.
Had no clue.
I love that though, because it's like fresh eyes on like what's happening.
It was fun. And like I said, I'm glad I watched it now as opposed to when I was younger, because I think I would have just been like, that was kind of dumb, like because I was kind of dumb.
Or just not maybe have like, I guess it does, not that it's not a dumb thing, but I mean like you kind of have to appreciate it for the fact of it, like it's making fun of in a way also, and like it's
borderline satirical.
Yeah, very much so, especially in the way like they have like the cut tos to us seeing them orchestrating everything, and how most of that is all comical. Like their commentary.
Oh, it very much so is. Even their deaths are comical.
It's all
so
pure comedy,
especially Hadley's.
And you were talking about Sitterson is his name. He's played by Richard Jenkins, and he's in a lot of things.
Yes,
he's in the Eat, Pray, Love. I really like that movie.
Oh,
watched it a long time ago.
I don't know if I ever saw that.
I mean, I
remember people were shitting their pants about the book, and I was like,
oh really? I don't want to. I didn't read it, but
I just want to eat. I don't want to pray or love people.
No, just eat.
Yeah,
that's it. It's a good thing. Eating is good. And so. So we start off with you said the credits, and then we're in the office scene, and they're talking about it's like, I love how it's just like water cooler talk.
Yeah,
like it's supposed to look like what they're, because we learn what they're doing later is so like this whole big O thing, and like it's like world affecting, and they're just having this mundane conversation about his wife like baby proofing the house
before
even though they don't have a baby.
A baby has even come. He said she got childproof towels. I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? Yeah,
literally.
Like, I just don't know. That babies are. That's a whole.
Oh, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, confusing.
Yeah.
But yeah, as they're talking, they then walk along, and the girl comes up, and she says that Stockholm is failed or something like that. And they were like, leave it to the Swedes to mess it up or something. Yeah. And then they said, well, it's just going to be Japan and us. And so at this point, I was like, okay, they've got some sort of
there's something
going on, like an event. I was like, I didn't know exactly what test. I don't know. I was like, I don't know what's happening. I'm very confused.
You're still left in the dark.
Yes, I thought this was going to be in a cabin.
Yeah, literally. And also, too, it's like it's very Office vibes, and the movie's marketed as like a horror cabin movie. So, yeah.
And I was just like, what is going on? And then I love how they get into they're giving her shit about the chem department, like fucking something up, because I guess she works in the chem department.
There hasn't been a glitch since like 1998 or something like that is what they're talking about. Yeah. And it was their fault or something. Yeah, and then they're just talking about like the betting pool and all that stuff.
And they're driving their little cart away, and Sitterson is not even like listening, and so then Hadley's like, "Are you even listening to me?" And then it's like, "Cabin in the woods."
I love it. Yeah, title card.
I loved it. I put LOL at the title card. It was. I liked that entrance though.
Yeah, it was very abrupt. Really it was a very like straight cut too.
It reminded me of like a few of the Scream intros.
For sure.
With that, and a lot of like the angles and stuff were very like, okay, yeah, we're playing on some
things that we've seen before in other horror movies. Yeah.
It was entertaining. And I put, yay, cut to generic white girl getting ready in her underwear with all the fucking windows open.
I said her coochie out.
It really is.
Yeah.
She's like supposed to be this like goody two shoes. And girl's just getting ready with her booty wide out in the open.
Maybe she was just like, it's the second story. Maybe she's, I don't know, but still.
And I guess when it's like daylight outside, it's a little bit harder to see in.
No, but you can still see through that.
I mean, well, yeah, because the windows were literally
just
open.
No blinds, no what are they called? Curtains.
Yeah, and well, one window was very just open because remember Kurt threw some ball through it.
That's right.
So there's no glass to like somewhat.
Maybe she's an exhibitionist. Maybe she just likes to be nude. And have people maybe see or not. And
then doesn't like to.
You never know. I don't know. We don't know.
Her situation is.
I mean, because we never really got I think because and obviously throughout the movie,
it was not consensual.
Well, no. Well, what do you mean?
Because everyone kept like referring to her as a virgin or something, and then they were like. And then she goes, what do you mean? Or like virgin. Yeah. And then the girl, like Sigourney Weaver at the end is like, well, we worked with what we can get.
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe she only did. It was either not consensual because then it seemed like he was pretty shitty. I'm assuming it's the professor.
Maybe.
And then I also think that maybe like, or maybe they just did like oral.
I get what you mean. Oh, I didn't understand that.
Penetrated.
I didn't get that. Vibes. No, what I got is, especially because when you go through later and learning the movie, like through the rest of them, is like because they're trying to make these people fit specific tropes, but like because like the boyfriend's trope is like he's supposed to be the dumb jock kind of thing, which at some points he is.
A sociology major,
but he's smart. And he's getting affected by whatever they're doing and like what they do to her hair bleach stuff. So I don't think she ever really was a virgin, but just because she's more of like, I don't want to say like she's just more reserved with like not being like maybe promiscuous or something, or just like more of like I'd like to date people
more careful,
or like
not just letting any dick fall
even though
her.
She's dating her professor, but maybe that's a whole other thing, but that's the vibe that I got and that's why she was like, well, we work with what we got.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably better.
I can see what you're saying now too. That's a really dark path. Yeah, but I see it.
Yeah, or maybe like we can go back. We can go back to the maybe she just did oral.
Yes, maybe she did. She still probably could not have liked it.
Or maybe she only did anal.
Maybe some people only do anal. So
yeah, that's true.
And some people's hands were raised in this room.
I'm just kidding.
And so
I do. Never mind.
at the water. Oh yeah. So we're. How's that mimosa tasting right now?
It's great.
It's good, huh? And so. Oh yeah, title card. We got all the kids. She was getting ready in her underwear. That's whenever her best friend pops in, and she's
got blonde
hair. You know,
and she's peeking over her shoulder because Dana is lovingly or almost sadly looking at this like pencil sketched image of a man who we then find out was her professor. And what's her name?
Jules.
Jules. I said Lucy. I don't know where that came from. Jules, though, she like rips it out of her hand and was like, "We're gonna burn this." And then basically we find out that she's like, they're going on a trip. We find out here, and they're going to somewhere where they can use a bikini and stuff. And they're like, "You're gonna use this," and then they're trying to set her up with Holden,
her boyfriend's friend. Yep.
Yeah. And Jules was like, if Holden is as cute as Kurt says he is and stuff, maybe you'll even get to take this off. Blah, blah, blah. And so we kind of get the fact that they're not forcing them into something, but they are encouraging.
She's really egging it on that. She like wants her to like get under someone to forget about this person kind of situation.
That's my favorite way to get over people.
Yeah.
But I love how Holden later on is like, well, since they sold you to me for marriage, because they're that not subtle about trying to force them together. Yes.
They're very pushy throughout the whole kind of beginning sequence of the film. And then her boyfriend comes in, which we learn is Mr. Chris Hemsworth. And it's funny because this movie was filmed in 2009, actually.
Oh, really?
It was filmed in 2009. It almost didn't see like the light of day, really. And then finally it got picked up by like Lionsgate or someone, I think.
Lionsgate is super,
yeah. And then it got filmed in 2009 and didn't get released till 2012.
Oh, wow.
So by then, like he hadn't even filmed like Thor yet. But Thor, it got filmed and put out before this movie even got put out the year before. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's why he looks like not as built as like his Thor days, even though this came out
at the
after
same time.
Thor. Yeah.
Interesting. That makes sense. I mean, to me, he just looks pretty built regardless. So I was like, yep, that's a hunk.
That's Thor. That's my
Thor.
Avenger.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he's coming in there and talking to them. And that's whenever we find out that he's not as dumb as he might look or you would think he is, because he's supposed to be a jock, because he's like talking about the book or something to her, to whatever, to her, recommend her professor or something like that.
Yeah. And it says it'll make you look more insightful if you read this one, because he doesn't have this entire book memorized or / have all of it in his lecture.
Yeah.
So this one will give you a
like an edge up.
Yeah. But then it's like, why are you I'm assuming it was the same professor.
Yeah, probably.
So,
and it's funny too, because at that point, I think what is it? The girlfriend is like talking to Kurt, right?
Yeah.
What is she?
They're saying something about the book, and she's like, "I learned it from you."
And then like the way she runs out, it's so comical.
It was, because it was like she was like, it was almost like a father like talking to his daughter or something.
Taunting, yeah.
And then being like, "Where did you learn this?" And they're like, "I learned it from you," and kind of thing. And so it was very entertaining. And clearly they were both joking.
Yeah.
You could see Jules smiling as she runs off. But yeah, it was very funny. I loved that scene.
It was so funny.
I loved it.
I was laughing. And then after that, we have them kind of coming out. Oh no, what's his face? Did he throw the football through the window at that point already?
Yeah, so that was how he entered. Was he goes, "Think fast," and he throws the ball out, and then Holden conveniently catches it outside the window at the base of it, and then they go through that whole scene, basically everything, and then at the end, like, and Kurt's recommending this other book for her, and he goes, "And you have no pants." And then she's like, "Oh my God."
Literally.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And yes, then it cuts to them going downstairs and loading, and then up rolls Marty with
in his car, and he's got his bong.
And it
looks
like a thermos.
It does, yeah. He like packs it down into a thermos, which is pretty nifty.
It is.
That's pretty cool.
It's giant, and it comes in handy later.
Yeah.
This pot literally almost saves his life.
Oh, it really does. Because he does end up dying, so you're right, almost saves his life, but for the most part does.
But so does the whole world.
Up until a certain point.
So, spoiler alert.
Yes, and it's the way that I guess they almost too, like, what was it when he was coming up though? Like they weren't expecting him to come, right?
Oh, they weren't.
That's what the vibe that I got.
I
Or
thought
at
they
least-
were just upset that he rolled up smoking
That's right.
a
The
bong.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Do you want us to go to jail?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "You're not going to bring that stuff." And then whatever that
And he was like, I am. But
thing
then
was
it's like,
called. And then he says they will not pull, a guy with a giant bong over because they're afraid of him. And
For
they're
real.
afraid that he will bind them with ancient tactics. And I was like, he's low-key on this already.
for real though.
He already is like, the show hasn't even started.
Mm-hmm.
And he has called it.
Literally.
Marty's on it from the get.
It's the foreshadowing.
And while he's sarcastic a little bit at first with it,
Mm-hmm.
he then slowly becomes like, nah, I'm fucking right.
Oh, yeah.
And no one takes him seriously, of
Because
course.
they're all under the influence of all the other effects that is being, they're being orchestrated and puppeteered, as, he says later in the evening when they get to the cabin.
Mm-hmm. But then
Um,
they roll off. And
yeah.
we get dude sitting on top of the house.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And he's up there and he's like, they're off.
The
And,
nest is empty.
mm-hmm. Basic. That's what he says, right? Yeah. The nest is empty. And it's the way that I hadn't really realized or remembered that part from before, but it was really like, I was like, oh shit, yeah, like this is literally set up all the way from the beginning,
Yeah.
from the get-go.
I wouldn't, I feel like if I was, if I hadn't seen this
Mm-hmm.
film in a couple years, I would not remember that scene at
Mm.
all.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so
small.
short. But yes, when you think of it and when you're having to look
It
at it
adds to it,
through, yes.
the
and
depth. Mm-hmm.
when we're having to be like analytical about it,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it makes you pick up on those key things a little bit more too.
Yeah.
And like you're right, it does. That they've literally, this thing is so well thought out.
Mm-hmm. It's just so smart.
And it's their everyday kind of life. It's what they work towards, I guess, each
Yearly,
year. It's like
yeah.
Christmas for
yeah.
them.
It's like, this is the big event. It's the
Their
one we've
one
been
day of
preparing
work.
all day,
Yeah.
all year for. Yeah.
Mhm. It's wild.
Yeah. And so they're off and they're heading to the
The cabin.
Kurt's cabin. That's supposed to be his cousin's cabin or something like
the
that.
Buckner house.
And
Buckner place.
that's whenever they stop at that one place to get gas.
Yeah, and before this, they're saying like the road doesn't even show up on GPS.
Mhm.
Like they said,
Does
it's not
already-
even worthy of like being globally mapped or whatever. And this is where Marty goes off about saying like, get off the grid. People are too scared in society
Oh,
to
that's
like
right.
let go of
Mhm.
all these things, and because
Everybody's
society would
blogging everything.
unravel if we
Mhm.
did. And he says, oh yeah, society is binding. And he says this is the one weekend where he won't be globally positioned. And I was like,
Mhm.
this is the one weekend where literally
You
your every
really
move
wish
is being
all
watched.
of it, the irony of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. But then yes, they're walking up and I guess it goes back to it cuts to the
So the people in
People.
Mhm.
yeah, and this is where Sitterson and Hadley, this is where I wrote down, are the main control dudes, and they're talking to whatever his face is.
Oh man, yeah. So
He's
the
kinda
security
overseeing
guard, the
room,
safety,
yeah.
the safety guy.
And I just like that Hadley goes, you can call him Sitterson, like no need
His
for
name's
formalities.
Truman, right? It's Truman.
Yes,
Mhm.
Truman. And it's the way I actually suspected him of like sabotaging things.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could see that.
At one
Because
point.
his character seemed very apprehensive to everything
Uh-huh.
that was going on.
And so at
Yeah.
first I thought he had, before I knew it was Marty pulling the strings, like with
Mhm.
the demolition
Mm-hmm.
kind of messing up and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought it was him.
Mm.
Anyways, but I thought it was funny how Hadley was like, or you can refer to Sitterson as Honey Toes. I was like,
Yeah.
weird.
I love Hadley's character the whole time.
Yes, they're very
Provides
funny.
all the, like, just when you need it kind of comedy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But then yes, now we're pulling up to the gas station.
Gas station, yeah,
I put
to
what in
the-
the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is
Literally, yeah. That guy was actually in Texas Chainsaw Massacre too.
this? Oh.
That's funny thing
I
of it
can
all.
see that.
Yeah. And so they stop at the gas station, and it's the way that it's giving off all the signs of what a wrong turn kind of movie,
Mhm.
Texas Chainsaw, everything that's supposed to
Turn
tell you to
back
turn
now.
around,
Yeah.
leave, don't go. And they see this dude, and I forget what his name is, but they call him the
later on-
Harbinger or something
Yeah,
like that.
and Hadley calls him Mordecai,
Mordecai,
which I don't know
yeah.
if that's like a code name or what, but
I think that's just the actor's name or something.
Yeah.
But of course he comes out and he's like, what is that stuff? Like chew tobacco he has
Oh,
in his
yeah,
mouth. He's like spit in.
what is that?
It's called something.
Isn't it called like spit? No.
No, it's something like that though.
Oh. That nasty stuff that gives you like tongue cancer.
Yeah.
What is that?
But anyways, it's the way he's like just painting a picture. He's very rough looking, and he's coming out there, and he's like seems very aggressive and like kind of like, what are y'all doing out here?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, like every other movie. And then does proceed to like fill their gas tank up.
Yes, he does. Like as he's
Yeah.
telling them, like, oh yes, you'll go down to the Buckner place.
Mhm. A lot of people go in and out of there or something like that, or they're always trying to sell that place or something like
Yeah,
that.
that the land is often up in the air and stuff like that, and changes hands quite frequently.
Yeah.
What is that stuff called?
It's gonna bother you now, huh?
It is
Dip.
Dip. That's
Dip.
it.
It just
Yeah,
came
it
to
looks
me.
like weird, really chewed on beef jerky.
I always think it looks like really dried out, like little apricots or something like that, or
that
like
too.
the peach pits.
Yeah.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
guess I don't ever look at it too much.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
I side note, used to like when I was younger, dip. No, I'm just kidding.
No, Josh.
Whenever I was really young, I was probably like, I don't know. I had to okay, so not even that young. I had to been like really like 7, 8, or 9. Yeah, 7, 8, or 9. And
7, 8, 9.
yeah, and I would go over to the neighbor's house, and they were kind of like my pretend grandparents because I didn't really have any grandparents that were here. And I would legit call them grandma, grandpa, but they were not my real grandparents. And so I would go there all the time, but my grandpa, he would do that all the time. So that's how I knew about it. Like that's how I knew about it from a really young age. I was like, what's that stuff? So that's why like every time I look at it, I was like,
Grandpa?
grossed out but fascinated at like how like I was like, that looks really gross. Yeah, and then they just spit it out. It's nasty.
So gross.
But yeah, Mordecai is kind of basically giving them this kind of like, if dooming them.
Yeah, he's being creepy.
Mhm.
He's basically like, and as Hadley will say later, or I guess Sitterson says, we basically put a man out there with a sign that's like, turn around, you will die.
Yeah.
And it is their choice
to ignore it, and that way, then
it's like all free will.
They have to transgress for them to be able to make all this happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so basically, I mean, he's being off-putting as all get out, and being quite frankly a dick. Man is being fucking rude as hell. He quite openly refers to Jules as the whore.
Yeah.
Which is what we find out later she is pinned
Supposed
as.
to be, yeah.
And even though she's pre-med and stuff, like, so again, she's not this dumb blonde bimbo. Sorry to everyone who's blonde out there. You're not dumb.
It's a stereotype.
It's a stereotype.
Yeah.
But they like pinned her as that,
Yeah.
And he quite like just very blatantly says that to her face, and of course Kurt at that point gets kind of like upset, and then Marty starts sassing the hell out of him. Well, he already was.
Always. I was like,
"You
Marty's
sassing me, boy."
Marty's the sass throughout the whole movie.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And then at the end when he's just like, yeah, you were rude to my friends, fucker.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I like you, Marty.
Nice one,
At
Marty.
first your character was a little like, okay, you're really leaning into this stoner fact.
Yeah.
But then
Very
at
shaggy.
this point I was like, okay, no, I do like you. But yes, very shaggy.
Mm-hmm. It's the way
kept-
they do all give me the mystery ganging kind of vibes ish.
Oh yeah.
There's even a van. We're just missing Scooby.
Scooby.
But yeah, no. So they leave there and they're going to the cabin, and it's the way that dude then like phones in.
Technically, Holden could be Scooby, even though he's not a scholar. But I guess maybe Dana and Holden combined would be Velma. Velma's very innocent.
Yeah.
And
He's like the smarts.
the smarts.
Combine them together and you get that character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then no Scooby. The wolf on the wall was Scooby.
There you go. And he made out with Daphne.
He did.
And so
fun.
they leave there, and that's whenever that dude Mordecai calls into the people, right? And
Yeah, we also before that get to see that as they're driving.
Oh, the bird.
That fucking drop off there is terrifying.
yeah.
But yes, they're driving through that little tunnel, and then this little hawk's going wee
Gallop like gracefully through the air.
and then it just
Bam! Right into some electrical
Force
field that
field.
we see that's like
looks like them bug zapper things.
very much that, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's basically separating the other side from this side.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's
they see them go through that tunnel and come through the other side.
the first, I guess, indication that we really get that this is a controlled experiment.
Yeah.
Because at first, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah,
I was,
it's kind of like the title card. It's very like, whoop, it just happens really
I was
fast.
just like, oh, la-di-da, they're just driving through a tunnel. I was
Uh-huh.
expecting them to pop out the other end.
and then
this
you get
bird,
that.
like,
Yeah, it's almost like with that thing back in the day. I think I was like 6th grade whenever I first saw the car going through the like mountains, and then at the end of like a minute and a half, it's like this zombie that pops out and scares everybody. Yeah,
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
no.
Really, you didn't play that as a kid, or not play it, but like got pranked by it?
No.
Yeah, my
Oh.
teacher, my 6th grade teacher did it to us. They
That's
like
really
the
fucking
teachers
weird.
were sending it to each other, I think, in like an email, and then he like turned off the lights, made us all go around the computer, and he's like, click play, and we're all watching it, and then
Had he seen it?
yeah,
Okay.
and so
I was like, oh,
and then it goes
less bad.
through, and then like the little face pops out, and we all like freaked out.
Mhm.
It was so funny.
I love that.
Yeah.
But yes, very much like that. But yes, then they get to the actual cabin, and it looks so small
Mm-hmm.
from the outside.
Yeah,
That first initial shot, I was like,
It's very reminiscent of the
tiny.
cabin from the Evil Dead,
mm-hmm.
which is what they were going for.
Yeah.
But yeah. It is a little small looking, isn't it?
Yeah, but on the inside, it doesn't
It's
look
not.
that small.
It's very, I guess,
Long. Yeah,
as
I
opposed
was
to
trying
wide.
to like look at the back.
Yeah.
But that angle, I guess it was low enough that you couldn't really see how far it went.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, then the angle as Dana is approaching is also hilarious. Like as she's going up the
Mhm.
steps, it's very just it's on a diagonal,
Yeah.
and I loved it. I was like, LOL.
Good stylistic choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, we have all of that happening. They're going into the cabin.
Talking
And,
about killing a raccoon to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Poor raccoon.
Poor Cooney. And then remind me what's happening next. They're
So they're choosing their rooms, and basically,
whenever
Holden-
he goes into the room and he doesn't like that painting on the wall.
yeah, because it's a fucking creepy
Mhm.
ass painting
Yeah.
of them like of some people gutting this lamb thing,
Yeah.
like or ram, I don't know,
It's
some
like-
sort of.
Bad juju written all
Yeah.
over it.
It was very gruesome.
Yeah.
So of course he goes to take it down, and then he's met with like first off we get the little like almost jump scare of Dana
Mhm.
standing there.
with her face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he sees her and he's like, "Gah!"
Yeah.
And then he realizes that
It's a two-way mirror.
yeah. And so she can't see him.
Which really shouldn't it just be a one-way mirror?
One-way mirror. Yeah, that's why I was like I put interrogation mirror as
Mm,
Marty
mhm.
lovingly calls it later
Mhm.
because I was like I don't remember which way this is.
Yeah. Anyways. Oh yeah, because he made that comment of like
It's the pioneer days. They had to make their own interrogation
and I'm like,
rooms.
why were they interrogating? Why would they need that? Okay. I guess they're out here whatever,
Yeah.
these lawless pioneer streets having to bring justice in their own homes. And so yeah, he sees her on the other side, and it's the way that she's about to get undressed, and he's like fighting the urge to like really just watch her do it.
Yeah, and I was like, bro, don't be a creep. Come on.
Yeah.
I was like, do not do that. And then he
Finally is like, okay, wait, no, and that's like
but then
the
he
right
steps
thing.
back for a second and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm like, okay, yeah, thank goodness he stops her.
Yeah.
And I was like, good for you, bud. But he
Yeah.
did. He said,
Then it brings it to the attention of everyone else.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then Dana and him switch rooms because he says, I feel
'cause-
like you'd be more comfortable. And that was the right call. But then,
It's very gentlemanly.
yes. And as they're switching, he said, because she says, thank you for being, a gentleman
A
about this
friend.
and not.
Yeah.
But he says, now don't worry, I did have a very strong internal debate. He said there's a lot of shouting, fighting, blood spilled on both sides.
Yeah.
And she says, you're bleeding internally. And he goes, quite badly. And like, he's trying to be smooth,
He's
like
flirty.
bleeding heart kind of
Mhm.
thing. And then she's like, well, Jules is a pre-med major. You should talk to her. I was like, girl.
Shot down. Yeah.
Yeah, she shot him down hard.
Yeah. And I think it's also too, I think she's still going through the whole thing of like having feelings for her professor and going through all that and
Yeah.
whatever. I guess he's not, reciprocating the feelings back anymore or something. So yeah, because later on, I don't know. I feel like they do start to vibe
Yes.
a lot more.
Oh,
yeah.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
They do.
Mm-hmm. But
Because,
yeah.
well, I mean, then when she gets back into her room, homeboy knows
starts-
exactly what he's doing.
Oh yeah, he immediately starts taking off his clothes.
And she's like,
Having the same kind of moment.
because
yeah.
homeboy built AF.
Yeah.
And then he was about to take he was about to take his pants off.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, oh, okay, no. And hangs back up the picture and then was like, oh, no, to the picture.
Yeah.
And hangs up that little sheet over it. And that's where we get the first sight of all of them on camera.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And that they're
From the
actually
rooms.
being watched.
Mhm.
Yep. I was like, okay. They're all on camera. Cool. And they talk about slowing down the cognition via hair dye
for that one girl, for Jules.
Jules,
That's
yeah.
how they were getting her to act more like the dumb blonde kind of thing.
because clearly, again, she's not dumb. So,
And they've talked about them changing the rooms and stuff.
but this is where
Having to
Mordecai
adjust.
calls.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah. They said, we have a room change.
Mm-hmm.
But Mordecai
Calls them
Mordecai calls.
and is like, cleanse the world of whatever, all that shit. His whole
He's being
spiel.
so cryptic.
Yeah. And it's the way he has them on speakerphone.
Yeah.
And they all start, he's like,
"Am
am
I
I
on speakerphone?"
I can hear the echo. Take me off speakerphone. And he's like, okay. And he goes back and then they're all snickering. And he's like, I'm still on speakerphone.
It's so funny the like switch that he's making, and I'm like, why? It's like he's super into this.
Yeah.
Well, he believes this role. I feel like,
Well, it's also
I
ironic.
mean, it is real.
And it is also ironic though, because they have him as like supposed to be the healing of warning to the kids that they ignore, and he's warning them about these like this whole
Saying
situation.
the fool has already almost derailed it.
Yeah, literally, and they're like, it's gonna be okay. It's whatever.
He's telling him.
Yeah.
He's trying to warn him.
So it's
But then
funny
they
that
just laugh 'em
they're
off.
funding. They're literally doing the same thing. Yeah.
And then it cuts to them running really fast to the lake, and so Dana and Holden jump in first, and I love the way that Kurt then comes up and he's like, "Whoa, there's something in the water," and they're like, "What?" And even I was scared. I was like, "Oh no, what is in the water?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Is there a Loch Ness
Literally.
monster in this random lake?" I was ready. I
Yeah.
thought something was
At
actually
this point, because you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't. But then he was like, "It looks like my girlfriend," and pushes her in, which I would be livid.
Oh,
If
yeah.
my boyfriend did that to me, he wouldn't.
He wouldn't be alive.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Would not
Because you
be-
asked for consent to be pushed into a pool.
That's
you
right.
not just push people into a pool. It's
That's
not
right. What if I
nice.
had my phone in my bikini?
Oh yeah, that's
I wouldn't be
true.
wearing a bikini.
But
But what
that's
if I
true.
did?
What if you did have your phone in general or anything, or just like people don't like being pushed into water?
Yeah.
There's
I
that
need
too.
to. I need to be immersed on my own free will.
Mm-hmm.
Free will. That's
Yeah.
what this movie's about. Free willy.
Drinks to free will. Clink.
Yes. Clink.
Wait,
Plastic.
do it again. Love it. It's like a clap. And so yeah, they're doing their little swim, and that's whenever then the people in the office start betting, right? They're having their betting pool.
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I do like Kurt. How then goes, and he goes, "There's something else in the lake," and he goes, "It's a gorgeous man."
He's pretty full of himself a
He
little bit.
was. It was funny. I was like, "Well, you're not wrong, sir. You're not wrong." But yes, then they're betting, and I was like, "Okay, I guess they're betting on some sort of scenarios." I didn't really know
What was happening? Yeah.
yet. I was like, "Okay, uh-huh."
And watching it for the first time, you're like, what is happening? I get that.
Yes, I was
yeah.
very
I
confused.
remember the first time I watched it, because I did leave that movie how I said in the beginning. I was like a little confused. I'm like, how should I feel about this? But then I'm like, oh, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, watching it definitely. I'm glad that I watched it again this morning, because yes, otherwise I would have been like, "What?"
Yeah. I feel that.
And that was actually, I only took notes this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I had fully intended, even when I had started it yesterday, to watch it again. Because I bought it. I bought it on Amazon Prime.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because it was only $4.99. It was like
Yeah.
rent for
For
$1.99
$1.99
or buy for
I
$4.
rented it. Yeah.
And I was like, well, I imagine I'll probably want to watch this again.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone talks so highly of it. And so I bought it.
Yeah.
And I probably will watch it again. Anyways, but yes, this is where we're getting to the conversation of their own free will thing that we were talking about earlier, and how they have to choose to ignore the
yeah.
creepy gas station dude and then proceed with how shady everything else is.
Yeah.
Everything else is like, you roll up the cabin alone looks terrifying.
Literally.
It looks like something straight out of a horror film.
Yeah.
So
So it's like kind of orchestrated, and they meddle as much as what they can is what they're saying, but still they have to really like make their own choices and like choosing how things go.
because Truman
in order
asked
for it to work.
how can they bet on something that is fixed? And
Yeah.
they say, well, to an extent it's fixed, but we have to guide them. And they have to make the choices to ignore him. They have to go into the cellar and they have to pick up the different things and then
They
act
choose their
on those
demise,
things. Yes. And so they're betting on how they were going to end up dying.
Mm-hmm.
Is essentially what it is. But yes, and then then it cuts back to them. They've started turning on music. They're dancing, and then the control men are dancing.
Mm-hmm. And then
Their little dance is so funny.
They're releasing pheromones into the air to make the libidos go up. So that way, they start acting a little bit more raunchy, and they're playing truth and dare. And so whenever we have Jules start kissing the wolf, even though Marty was like, kiss that moose on the wall.
Yeah,
they're like, that is a fucking wolf.
That's a wolf.
And yeah, she's really playing it up there.
She is. That whole scene is amazing.
Yeah.
The moment like that it steps off and it cuts to her like sexy walking or whatever that is. But I loved it.
Do you not think she should have been wearing heels? Granted, I know she's in a cabin in the woods, but like it would have been like
perfect. But I mean, I feel like the way she was walking almost emulated as if she were wearing heels. Like her heels were up. She was on her toes. And so I feel like she was giving that vibe. And just the whole scene, the dedication.
She was emoting.
To act that out, kissing. I would be so embarrassed. I could never act that out. Yeah. And then I could also never make out with a...
And that was a prop, like fake wolf. Like it wasn't because they didn't use a real, like they didn't have like a real wolf head for like, like animal purposes.
Taxidermy.
Not to have like an actual wolf. And the tongue was fake. It was made, and they put like powdered sugar on it, so it would taste like sweet.
Made it good. Okay, yeah. The way that the tongue moves in the mouth is disgusting to me. When I see it like moving, I was like,
it's a little awkward watching her kiss it. So
yeah,
it is. It gives me a little bestiality vibes, and I'm like, but yeah.
I would immediately go brush. I put you the tongue is moving.
Literally, because you don't know how long that's been there. That's like gross. It's dirty.
Yeah, and I said I would immediately go brush my teeth. She just bows. And it goes back to Kurt.
He's like, oh, thank you.
And then I wonder if that could have been some sort of way, because the werewolf was an option. And I was like, I wonder if that could have been one of the ways. Maybe. But I don't know, because it wasn't in the cellar. So
yeah. And it's the way that there are certain things that happen, like throughout the movie, like that basement, like where it's like, like what happened to the family, kind of thing. Like if they would have chose something else, like... How does that work? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause how does that tie
like
into
if
the
they got
line?
into... Well, I imagine if it was a merman that they would somehow then have to get forced outside.
To the lake kind of situation.
And then that would occur almost strictly out there. And then if it was a giant anaconda, well... Outside. All bets are off.
Yeah.
Like
there's so many things.
I would shoot myself.
But literally, I would just take it out. And so we have then I lost my train of thought.
The cellar door just casually flying open
while they're playing the truth or dare. And it's the way that Kurt is like, oh, the wind must have pushed it open.
And Marty goes, that makes what kind of sense?
Because it doesn't.
Because it doesn't.
At all.
I was like, thank you, Marty, for being the only smart one.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
As if the McCrispy couldn't get any better, Bacon and Ranch just entered the chat. The Bacon Ranch McCrispy, available at participating McDonald's for a limited time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
And so he's getting really influenced by already the like chemical stuff that they're putting in the air, because it's making him make dumb decisions, and he's supposed to be the smart guy. Yeah.
Because clearly, that would never be something that he would actually say.
And then Jules dares freaking what's the main girl's name?
Dana
to go down to into the cellar.
And she fucking walks all the way down the stairs with the flashlight off. Andrew, we were watching it, and he goes, Why doesn't she even have a flashlight? And I was like, she has a flashlight. It's in her fucking hand. It's just not on.
Yeah.
She doesn't have it on. Why would you wait to turn it on to get to the bottom of the stairs?
And like you could fall in. Like, what if there was a broken piece of wood or something, or a nail, like in the quiet place, like
for real. Ugh, so many things. But then as we get down there, I put, it's just my house, nothing to be scared about.
A lot of old like dolls and knickknacks
and weird things,
antique looking things.
I was like, wow, right at home.
Very much so.
I was like, oh,
You could pick up an item in your house and it
I could. I was like, I'd go
somehow.
antiquing there. Oh, that too.
But yeah, they're down there, and then they all come down because she screams at seeing something. I don't
She
remember.
sees the portrait of Patience on the
Oh,
wall,
that's
and
right.
it high key looks like her.
Mm-hmm.
They look very similar.
Yeah.
And I don't. That obviously
If it was supposed
doesn't
to be
pay
yeah.
any like tribute to the film at all. Like, or it doesn't have any relevance. But they did look rather similar, and so I was like, Anyways, but yes, and so. They all come down there, though, and this is where Marty's like, I dare you to all go upstairs. Like, come on, guys, let's get the fuck out of here. It's creepy. And they're not listening. Everyone's slowly getting absorbed in these
By
different
all the objects and artifacts.
things,
the,
yeah.
Like little music box, the Hellraiser-looking, like, puzzle ball.
Yeah, I put,
Which was
like...
really cool looking.
Oh, and then, of course, Kurt had also, right before that, had picked up the conch. And was about to blow on it, and then he sees
merman.
the little, I put medieval Rubik's Cube, and then later on I call him, I said whenever we see him in the basement, I was like, this looks like a Walmart pinhead.
Oh yeah.
Like
Great value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Equate
at Hill
version.
County Farms
Less.
whatever pinhead. But yes,
It's the way that they all stop, because then at one point Dana is like, you guys look at this. She finds that diary and she starts reading about it, and it's about the family that lived there and how backwards it is. And there's at one point she says that he got a husband's boner or husband's bulge.
Yeah.
From like the pain that he inflicted on everyone else or something like
Yeah,
that.
he said like took someone into the black room. And I was like, they're into some intense shit. But yeah, and then it says cutting the flesh gives him a husband's bulge. And at this point I looked over and said, I'll give you a husband's bulge.
And that's
then
why
I
we
did.
got distracted.
Yep.
And so yeah, she ends up reading more, and there's Latin in there, and it's the way that Marty's like, please do not read the Latin.
I'm drawing a fucking line in the sand
Yeah.
with the Latin. Do
and
not
then
read it.
There's that voice that's like whispers, read it. And it's the way, because he's that weed, I guess, to his own stash that he's smoking, it's like keeping him from being influenced from all the chemicals and stuff. I feel like they heard it, but they don't see it as like, oh, that's an outside voice. That's
They're
probably
just like thinking it's in their head.
yeah,
Yeah.
And he's like, what the fuck?
He's like, someone literally just talked out loud.
Yeah, and it's like, read it out loud. I loved it. I mean, it's so funny to me. He's like, read it
It's
out loud.
hilarious.
And then
I love his
she
interaction
does,
with
yes.
the disembodied voice every time. It's
Yes,
like, this is amazing.
even later on when he's like, take a walk outside.
And then he's like,
I think I'll take a walk
take a
outside.
walk.
He was
like,
literally.
Marty, you're questioning it. You
Oh
almost
my gosh.
won.
Or earlier when she's talking about something, he's like, Pop-Tarts?
Oh, yeah. He was saying that the puppeteers.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, puppeteers. And he goes, Pop-Tarts?
Yeah. I love it.
That was funny. Oh, now I want Pop-Tarts.
Me too.
Ugh.
Wait, 3, 2, 1. What's your favorite flavor?
Brown
Strawberry.
sugar cinnamon.
I thought it would be strawberry for some reason.
I really do
Yeah.
like strawberry, too.
Oh, okay.
That's
Brown
my
sugar
other one.
cinnamon.
Yeah.
My favorite's blueberry. So.
Strawberry's my second fave if I had to
Mm.
choose. But I really I'm a little bitch for the brown sugar cinnamon ones. And if
Oh,
you
I know
like
which one you're talking about.
cook them in a
Mhm.
pan, like with some butter, and then you put ice cream and stuff on top of it, it's really good.
What?
I don't know, some witchcraft my mother did when I was a child.
So you would put a Pop-Tart on the stove in a pan with butter, like butter first, right?
Yeah.
Put the Pop-Tart.
Yeah, you cook it
Mhm.
with the little butter so it browns and it soaks up on the butter.
You put it on a plate.
Yeah.
And then you put ice cream on top.
Mm.
Anything else?
Oh, like chocolate sauce, whipped cream.
Okay, sprinkles if you had
Yeah,
it, like a little
like an
cherry.
ice cream sundae.
Ooh,
but with Pop-Tart.
I like that. I'm
It's
gonna
really
try
good.
that one
You
time.
should. It's
Mm.
good.
I'm gonna go to HB right after this and buy it all.
We're cooking tonight.
And so yeah, we've
They
got
read out the Latin,
reading
though.
out the Latin, of course, and
The Buckners have
the
won.
curse starts, and
Yeah.
the Buckners are being
Hands
animated.
coming through the
They're coming
ground.
through the ground. They are zombies, and they're ready to torture all of our
Main
characters. And so at that point, that's whenever.
They're saying who the winners of the pool are.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, it goes to maintenance. And whatever's face is the intern. And he's like, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
And then the other girl comes up and she said, that's not fair. I've had zombies too. And they goes, this is entirely different species.
Yeah.
You had zombies. This is zombie redneck torture family.
Yeah.
That's like saying an elephant and then an elephant seal.
Yeah, and also it's playing on like how there's so many subgenres in like horror. Like it could be zombies, but then there's zombies that are like there's the fast zombies, there's slow zombies, there's zombies that like are like Walking Dead zombies, or
ones that can think and are
Yeah.
so like
Or-
warm bodies
Mhm.
kind of zombies.
Yeah. There's so
Right? Is
many,
that what
so
it's
many.
called?
Yeah, warm bodies.
Okay.
Yeah. The like
Romance
rom-com
one, yeah.
zombie movie.
I love that one.
Mhm.
It's so cute.
And so that's all happening
And
behind the
Homegirl's
scenes.
talking to Truman, saying
Mhm.
that he's like, is this not, or he's saying this is something like, this is stuff of nightmares. And she goes, no, this is something nightmares are from.
Yeah.
And she says, everything in their stable is from the old world. And so at this point, I was like, stable? What you mean?
Yeah.
What you talking about there?
Suspicious.
Yeah.
But it's all from the old world, and they're gifts from like the old gods who are just basically wanting us to use them to bring them souls or blood or spill blood for them in order to keep them
Sacrifices appeased.
appeased, for our lives basically.
And then we get but then it pans over some of the other still active scenes. Well, I guess only at this point it's Japan. It's the only one left. And of course Japan was a fucking creepy, like long-haired ghost girl in a classroom and a bunch of
like the
little
Grudge vibes. Yeah.
I was just like, of course. And I love that part at the end. Anyways.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then it cuts back to Jules dancing very ironically. And at this point, her and Kurt are both acting pretty wildly out of character.
Yeah. And what's his name is picking up on it?
Marty. Okay, wait, no. So the Pop-Tarts Puppeteers happens here. That's it. So we jumped the gun there.
No, I just mentioned Pop-Tarts. Just to mention the Pop-Tarts.
I totally thought it happened already.
No, sorry. No, I just mentioned that. But yeah.
But yeah, so they're dancing and stuff. And then basically Jules and Kurt decide to go outside to go
make some fornication happen. And it's the way that they go out there. Of course, you'd never go outside into the woods.
Holden, an egghead.
Bad idea. Yeah.
Alpha male bullshit. And then
because at this
Marty
point,
says
Holden
puppeteers.
is like falling into the whole the brain type of character because he's got glasses on now and he's like trying to study the Latin.
Yeah.
That's going on.
Marty removes himself. He says, "I'm gonna go read a book with a lot of pictures."
Yeah.
And then it flashes to Holden like casually reading Latin. And he's got glasses and stuff. And so I'm like, where'd the glasses come from?
He's the scholar. And so they go outside. They're gonna go oak. And
I don't know if I'd want to have sex on like twigs.
I don't either. Like, why?
That
They
sounds.
didn't even take a blanket or anything.
Yeah, I'm like, if I had a blanket, but
Maybe.
otherwise a rogue stick could go into
Pikuha.
one of my
orifices.
many holes.
And so any hole is a goal. And so they are in the woods and they're
I just imagine Quidditch then too.
He's got the
golden snitch.
The golden snitch.
Bludger.
That's a bludger. Yeah. What did you call me? And so then they're outside. They're running from not running yet. They're basically Kurt is really like being pushy and trying to get her like give up the goods. And she's like, no, let's go back inside. And then it's too dark
like, "I'm
out here.
chilly."
I'm chilly. And then they're like manipulating the scenery and like making it really like romantic with moonlight.
Upping the temperature, dispensing pheromones. And then yes, they have
finally get to like this
nice little sliver of moonlight that shines upon a perfectly mossy patch of grass. Which I was like, okay, I guess.
Maybe
but then
there.
even moss is still like, I don't
It's
wanna
very
touch
like, can
that.
you feel the love tonight, Lion King?
Yeah.
Like,
Definitely.
And so they're there. They start getting a little frisky, and as
Yep.
soon as things start getting a little hot, we do get some titties, which
We
is
do.
important.
I'll put some good titties.
Yeah, we
Because
get some
they were saying we got to
BooBaes.
keep the customer satisfied too, which I was like, who's the customer?
The
At this
old
point,
gods?
then I was like,
Yeah.
is this? I was like, is this?
I think it's just
Squid
giving
Games
more. I
kind of
think it's
thing?
also giving like also more so of like why horror movies are supposed to have like boobs. Like we see a lot of boobs in horror movies.
Yeah,
like
we
this
do.
is the way we're supposed to do it. So
Yeah.
it's like the gods. I feel like it's the way that like things have to happen in a certain manner. Like the way that they say later on, like first the whore has to die, then the jock, and then the other two. It doesn't matter how they die, but the last one has to be the like. There's
And
a
her
whole,
death is optional.
and there's a whole kind of hierarchy story kind of thing that goes to it. So I think that's how that ties
Boobies
in.
are part of it.
Yeah, you have to have a pair of tits.
But there are some pretty good titties. What did how How many boobies would you give
I'm gonna
those?
give them a good 5.
5.
Those
okay.
are some nice ones.
They
yeah.
were nice.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little bit offset from each other, which reminded me of me. So I liked that representation.
I like that. Yeah.
It's very hard to make cleavage on myself. My boobs are like way the fuck on the outside. I don't know what they were thinking when they grew, how they did, but whatever.
It's okay. They're still beautiful.
I got a beautiful sternum tattoo out of
Every boob
it.
is boobyful.
Every boob is beautiful.
And so then as they're getting a little bit even more titillated with each other, she gets stabbed in the hand by one of the zombie torture zombies.
Tink tink.
Bam. And that's whenever we get this blood curdling scream from her. Kurt's freaking out, of course.
Yeah. He like pummels the mom.
They're both getting attacked by these zombies at this point, but
and
they
then
like
Dad comes up with that bear trap thing
and just like throws out on the back of Miss Jules and like on
both of them actually. But then Kurt somehow gets free
off of it somehow.
Yeah, and then they really get
Jules and then they like hold her down while they make him watch as they like saw her into pieces.
I was like, I don't know if she was I was like, she's either gutted because I was imagining the like imagery with the lamb and stuff earlier, but then they bring her head, so I was like,
they
maybe
cut her head off.
Yeah,
but they could have done everything, to be honest.
Yeah,
and so
a little bit of everything.
She's dead because it's the way that at that point what's his face, it cuts to we're back inside and Marty.
They're saying, oh well, at first it cuts back to the control people and they're saying the little prayer after her death, and then they Willy Wonka that shit down to some sort of blood blank.
That's right, they release the lever.
It reminded me of that.
Blood goes into the thing.
Yeah, it fills up that little image. It reminds me of the golden egg situation in Willy Wonka with Baruka.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
Yeah. But then also a little bit when he said with the pull the lever, it reminds me of Emperor's New Groove.
Pull the lever, cronk.
Pull the lever, cronk.
And so it releases blood and it goes into this like ritualistic, it's like also very Blade. Keep bringing Blade. You know, the blade, the blood.
The blood. But yes, then it cuts to Marty. He's reading in bed. Little Nemo. The little Nemo.
And then it's the way that's whenever he starts hearing the disembodied voice, right? Again. It's telling him to go outside for a walk.
I'm going to go for a walk.
And he's like trying to fight it.
Like, what? He's like, what do you want? What does the voice want? And then he stands up and he hears it again. And it says, I'm going to go for a walk. And he says, you think I'm a puppet, huh? You're going to do a little puppet dance. And he's like, I'm my own boss. And then he goes,
I'm going to go for a walk.
I'm going to go for a walk. I was like, God damn it, Marty.
I love it.
They were so close. And then you go right for it. But then, Holden and Dana are making out on the couch, and fucking Marty passes and says, oh, he's got a husband's bulge.
He's got a husband's bulge. It's so funny. Yeah.
The way that Holden looks down as he adjusts it.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh.
And so he's outside and he's taking a little piss, right?
Yeah, he's commenting on how there's no stars.
Yeah, that's right. He thinks it's weird. And
we can see creepy dead girl
coming up from behind.
Patience.
But then Kurt comes smashing through, running. I love the way he like knocks her and
fucking
socks her down.
clotheslines her. Yeah, he turns around because he gets Marty, and then he's like, doomp to this girl. She does like a flip. I loved it.
And doll. She's on the ground. They
I was
get
laughing
inside.
so much.
I was too. They get inside, and then it's the way that, of course, Dana and Holden are like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Jules is gone." And it's the way that in all movies, why do people say like people are gone? I'm like, you can just say she's dead. She was just gutted, murdered.
Dead.
Like
yeah.
I feel like
gone,
that would,
gone where?
That would give me the more of like what's happening. Yeah. I was like, oh, did she leave? Exactly. Where'd she go? I would go to you.
Whenever Kitty died, I told a few people, I was like, Kitty's gone. And then one friend was like, what do you mean she's gone? Yeah. Like, did she run away? And I was like, oh, no, yeah, she's dead.
Yeah.
And then she was like, oh, fuck, I'm so sorry.
I feel sometimes, it's hard to say the actual words. But
yeah. Yeah, because, every time that I'm like, she's dead, everyone looks at me like, Caitlin. And I'm like, what the fuck else am I supposed to do?
But yeah. In this situation, though, it's like I need a little bit more detail.
Yeah.
Life's at stake kind of situation.
Life, literally. Yes, exactly.
And then
fucking Dana's like, dumb bitch. Like, I'm not leaving here without Jules.
And then the door is like getting banged on, and then she opens it, and it's one of the torture zombies, and he's got
the dad. He's so nice. He gives her back Jules' head.
Right in her hands.
He's like, okay, well, now you can leave with her.
And
just
the
her
way
head,
she
though.
just throws her head like across the floor and like the bounce of the head. Oh my God, literally.
Yeah.
And so then they're trying to close the door, get them back out, whatever, and they do. And so then they're trying to figure out like what to do, and they come up with a plan to stick together. But then like the orchestrators, the puppeteers,
They're like, oh no, we can't
that.
have them sticking together.
So they
That's
spray
too
more
smart.
juice into the air, little mist, vapor.
Drug them up.
And that's whenever Mr. Thor is like, no,
We need to
let's split up.
Cover more ground.
So
Always the wrong idea.
Yeah, very much so. And that's the way they go to their rooms, right?
Yes.
Everybody go to your own rooms.
Because the dad like starts breaking through the door.
That's right. Yeah.
And Marty, even then, whenever
was like, no,
because
we shouldn't do this.
Holden was like, yeah, okay, good. And Marty was like,
no,
are we for real?
We just decided that we should stay together.
Yeah, no, we shouldn't do this. He's questioning it once again. But yes, now they all run to their rooms because he's breaking down the door, and then they lock him in.
Yeah.
And Marty's freaking out. He's in the like up against this window, and he's trying to close it. But as he turns around, he knocks the lamp over.
Yeah.
And finds.
What does he find?
I can find the camera.
I'm sorry, I'm feeling the mimosa now. You're right. He does find the camera. The way you set me up for that one, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
What does he find?
I don't know. Remind me. It's the camera. Yes, he finds a fucking camera, and that's when he's all like, oh my God, these fuckers. We really are being puppeteered.
He says, I'm on a reality TV show.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do kind of hate the line that he has. My parents are going to think I'm such a, whatever he says, like a deadbeat or something. And then he gets Judah comes through the window.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, damn it.
Judah?
Yeah, I think that was his name.
From what?
The zombie.
Oh, the zombie.
Because they were...
No, okay. No, I get it now. You were talking about the zombie's name. I
Yeah.
get it. Okay, no. I
Yeah.
just know like as like an adverb, like an adjective. Like he got Juda'd out the window. Like what? Like what am I missing?
Yeah, because they were going to pump more
Mhm.
drugs into the air
Mhm.
to make him not, like, get the fact that there's a camera there. And then they're like, Judah to the rescue.
Yeah,
Or something like Judah Buckner, I think is what they said.
you're right.
But, yeah, he breaks him through the window. And I love the like almost heroic music that happens as he extends his bong.
Yes.
Because Marty was quick and he grabbed it
Yeah.
as he was being pulled out. And so then he
Almost
like
Freddy Krueger style.
yeah, extends the bong and then he smacks him, but it doesn't do
To
much
no
because
avail.
he's it's a bong versus a zombie.
An undead, alive, whatever type of unalive zombie. Mm-hmm.
And so then he gets stabbed, and
Yeah. And that's the way we feel, and we think that he is dead.
because we
point.
see the blood being drained to fill the
But at-
little picture thing.
But at this point, there's an earthquake,
Uh-huh.
and it starts shaking, and they're like, that's different.
And yeah, so at that point, the first time I watched it, I was just like, oh, weird, an earthquake. I honestly don't even remember that.
Yeah.
But then as I was going back, I was like, oh, the rumbling was probably the gods being
knowing,
like
that
he's
wasn't,
not dead.
Yeah, that wasn't real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, of course, at this point now, all of the zombies are enclosing and like coming at the house and stuff. And so then Dana is scared in her own room, but thankfully
right.
the interrogation mirror.
Yeah, it comes in handy a little bit because what's his face knocks a hole through it as he comes into her room because the zombies are trying to get into her room. She goes into his room, and then at that point, Kurt comes in, right? At some point.
Well, yeah. So then they find that there is a little latch that goes down into the floor, and
That's
they
right.
put the whole like lamp in there, and she's like, it's clear. And I was like, bitch, you just put the lamp in there and looked at the
That's
immediate
it, yeah.
surroundings. You need to like put your head in and swivel it around. But then I guess also, but I mean,
but your head is then exposed, and
yeah.
I don't
But then
know.
putting your whole body into it
But
is
then
also
I've never been in a situation where I'm getting chased by zombies and I'm in a cabin and like shit.
True.
So I don't know.
so I don't know how I'd act.
And so yeah, they go down there and they realize that that's this cellar, the black cellar, right?
Yeah,
Basement, whatever.
It is the black room.
From the diary that they read earlier.
The way that she is, this is also like very, I mean, I guess 2009 was probably, no, that was more 2010 that this came out, but that whole scene, Paramore's song "Ignorance," the music video for it is all done with like a lamp, and it's just like right in the face, and they're holding like these lamps from the ceiling, and of course Haley has her iconic red hair. Does she in that? Yeah, I think right after that for Brick by Boring Brick, she went blonde. But then yes, so the whole that kind of scene reminded me of Ignorance. That was all I could think of. So
I love it.
I had to make that note. But anyways, yeah. So then they're down there, and Kurt's like saying, "Let me into the room, let me into the room," and he's like, "I fucking can't." So Holden gets down there, but then Daddy-O comes in and gets Holden with this bear trap thing.
Ouch! So many times with that bear trap.
And I just put "ow fuck."
It's the way that she then uses
she says,
knife,
"You like pain?"
and then stabs him with the crowbar.
Yeah, it's like through his eye the first time, and then she just goes ding 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 a few more times.
In this movie, everything's really a lot of things are practical effects. So it looked really real.
It
really
did.
Cool.
It was good. I was like,
they get it in there.
It's fucking creepy.
And then he doesn't die, and so she just starts stabbing him repeatedly with the knife. And then Kurt smashes through, right? At some point after that. Or do they open the door?
Yes, they do. They start escaping, and then it just pans back to Japan, and essentially all the little schoolgirls have defeated Kiko's spirit and put it into a frog, and they said, "Kiko's spirit will now live in this happy frog," and they all go,
evil
"Yay!
is defeated.
The evil is defeated."
I love it.
And I was like,
"Oh, like fuck!" So it's really up to them now.
Yep, it is. It's basically up to them now because everyone.
Because they're trying to sacrifice every country. They have their own way that they can do this ritual or whatever, and they're all trying to perform, but they all are trying to do it with the same goal of like pleasing the gods. So that way, I guess for another year we stay alive.
And at least one person has to succeed.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
one
the world will end.
One location. Yeah.
And typically, Japan and U.S. are the two that are the most successful.
That bring it out.
It seems like, because Japan more so. Japan being number 1 and U.S. was number 2, they said. And then so they were like,
I missed that.
Yeah, at one point they said, we're right behind Japan. Like they've got a perfect success rate, basically. And then they failed this time. And so it was meant to end. But
yeah, so then we have them escaping when they get to the RV, right? And they start leaving, and it's the way that they're about to leave almost. And they get all the way to like the tunnel, and then like that's whenever the people in the the headquarters are freaking out because they're like, why haven't we blown out the tunnel yet? It hasn't caved in. And so they're almost escaping when they finally get the tunnel blown up.
Yeah. And they said that there's been some sort of glitch. Like we never got the command.
That's why you thought Truman would have done it.
Yeah, I thought someone was sabotaging it because I just put someone sabotaging it. Like, I don't know.
Maybe I'll have to watch it again, and maybe someone was.
No, I do think it was Marty because then it later on it says this is he says it has some controls to some like
that's right
electrical control panels and stuff, and he says I don't know what all of them do, but clearly it's affecting something.
That's right.
He says, but this one brings the elevator up, and then he goes, there's no controls in there, but I can send it down.
Yeah.
And so at that I do think it was Marty. He was tinkering around and fucked it up. And
so it's the way that whenever they're there and they obviously can't go through the tunnel, they come up with the idea of using the motorcycle to get across the thing.
It's a way I completely forgot about the bird thing. Yeah. So
Aww.
I was just like, okay, is he gonna make it?
No.
And then Kurt.
Yeah, and so Kurt attempts to get over the thing, and it's the way they're planning it. They like,
he's like,
you need this much space.
Help,
yeah, he has this
make them pay for Jules.
Spiel.
Why the fuck does Dana have to kiss him?
Oh yeah, it's weird.
I was like, what the fuck?
And so he goes over, and it's the way he almost gets there, but then hits that wall that we saw earlier, the barrier. And it's the way that his body just looks like every fucking other panel all the way down, and you just hear his body going down. It's very funny.
I just put, oh my god, I put LOL. I completely forgot about the fucking barrier, and then it's just like a whole line of
yeah. And then he's falling down, and so then of course they're freaking out, and so
now Dana's being like, fucking Marty was right.
Yeah.
He was right. And then fucking Holden, they hop back into the RV thing.
They're in there for like a hot second, and then Holden gets fucking yeeted through the fucking net.
It's the way that he's saying he was going to say we have to stick, like you're all I have left now, and we got to stick together, but
and
he
gets
right
impelled.
as he says the word stick, homeboy gets stuck.
Right through the neck, so he's dead. Because was it Zaddy?
It was. I think it was one of the sons.
And so one of the zombies was on the RV, and so then it just veers off of the side of the mountain cliff, whatever it is, and into the lake, the water. And she's down there, and she comes up, and then finally,
we got a good deep water shot. Loved it.
and she gets out, and she's like swimming, and it's them basically celebrating already, feeling like they've already won and accomplished their goal because
they think they've killed everyone.
And Truman's like, well, why? She's still alive. Doesn't she have to die? And it's the way that they're like, no, she doesn't have to die. The final girl can survive. She just has to suffer.
Yeah, virgin's death is optional as long as it's last, and she has to suffer.
And so they're celebrating, popping champagne. It's like a typical office party where you get like all this really funny interaction and like conversation between the
And at one point, Hadley was being like, I almost feel like sorry, like I'm kind of rooting for her.
Yes.
And then he sees
like
tequila is my lady.
Tequila is my lady. I love it.
And he was getting so deep for a second, and then he was like, psych, tequila.
And then they're all doing their thing, but then that red phone starts going off, and that's when it's like, something's up, because both Sitterson and Hadley.
They're literally partying too, as like she's getting tossed around because you think she's safe for a second, but then Daddy comes.
And she's getting fucked up
and
on the dock,
and they're just like partying. It's like all happy-go-lucky, and you just see Dana getting tossed everywhere. But yeah, then the red phone,
and then we have then the phone ringing, and so then it's like
a red phone's never good.
Nope. And so it's like the red phone from the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And so they go and answer it, and obviously someone's still alive, and it's Marty, because he comes back and he uses his bong to keep the daddy zombie from killing Dana, and then they get him into the water. Yeah. Eventually, and so then they
long bong to the rescue,
run away from that area, and he takes her back to the grave where he was hiding, where he got taken to, and shows her that control room that you were just talking about, how like, well, I've been messing with this and all these wires.
And he says, because she looks at the pile of zombie in the corner, and he goes, had to dismember that guy with the trowel. What have you been up to?
Yeah.
The way that he like casually delivers that line, and then, but of course he's trying to not focus on the fact that literally everyone's fucking dead at this point, because then Dana just kind of shakes her head, and he was like, everyone, okay, I figured. But yeah, he's showing her the elevator, saying that somebody literally sent these fuckers up to us. They sent them to us. And
so he's like, we can take it down there. And it's the way that kind of like,
she's like, should we go down?
He's like, well, where else are we going?
Yeah. Where the fuck, what are our other options at this point? Because we can't escape.
Yeah.
As so clearly we've been shown.
It's like as above, so below. You have to go down to go up. Like go out. Dante's Inferno.
Love. But anyways, yes. So they're going down, and first we get the werewolf.
Yep.
That's the first little stop on our tour.
Yeah, because they go into this like elevator area where it's kind of like a Rubik's Cube of all these different monsters. And they see the werewolf. And then
ghosty.
They see the ghost,
which I thought was maybe attached to like the wedding dress and the necklace, because it does kind of go in order. Because then we get the Demogorgon ballet dancer looking thing,
and then we get Hellraiser,
Rubik's Cube, Walmart pinhead, and then that's where Dana catches on. Like, they made us choose. They made us choose how we die,
from all the objects that were down in the basement.
Yeah. And then it. So she's just fucking losing her shit at Walmart Pinhead, and is just like,
very mad, as anybody would be. She's very pissed off.
And it pans out, and we see that they are quite literally in, like a stable.
Yeah.
Holding room.
And then if you pan out, you see all of these monsters and
giant
all the different
snakes,
holding rooms.
The Shining Twins.
Yeah.
Who else?
Like an Evil Dead tree. There were
some like drill zombie or
a big anaconda snake.
That's the one that scared me the most.
Like killer people, like regular people in masks. Like,
reminding me of the Strangers.
Yeah, kind of version of that. There were so many monsters. Yeah.
And that's where we then figure out. I low-key would have almost been happy if it ended there.
Oh, like, yeah, just panning out. And we're just left with like they're stuck there in that thing. What happens? Yeah.
I was like,
they could have.
I could have left with that. But then the rest is so important to actually explaining the film.
What's happened.
Because otherwise you wouldn't know.
Which is basically the last like 20-something-ish minutes of the film. It's really not that long when it's like climax time.
No, it's very fast.
And so they are stuck in the elevator. When I stopped paying attention. And that's whenever the they start getting told like stop fucking around with the system, because like can y'all just like die so that way we need this ritual to happen so that way the world can survive. Or something
Marty
like that.
has to die first. And they're basically saying like, go kill them, like go stop them, and whatever you do, just kill Marty first because he has to die first. And this is where we also figure out that whatever Marty has been smoking has immunized him to all the things they've been doing, basically.
That girl scientist tells him. And so they are still in the elevator. They got off, and then that's whenever
Zombie
they realize,
arm helps them escape.
That's right.
Marty goes, good work, zombie arm.
And then they go into that room, the control room that's across from all the elevators, and that's whenever all the security team comes into the...
And someone comes over the loudspeakers and says, like, what's happening to you is something bigger and older and nothing compared to what lies below.
Yeah.
So it's our task to placate the Ancient Ones, and it is your task to be offered up to them. And they say, we're sorry, but, like, you have to die. Basically.
Which is some bullshit.
Yeah. And so then, they're going through, and then all those people are in the elevator waiting room thing, and Dana basically says, like, well, she literally says, let's get this party started.
Yeah.
Boom.
Boom.
Presses
because
red
the
button.
button says purge, and it releases all the monsters, and then they just started attacking all of the security team.
Like
bloodshed, carnage.
It's fucking insane.
Chaos. Yes, chaos.
And I loved the as the people were like waiting there with the guns and stuff. I love the little shit right before the elevator dings, and then it's just boom. They all come out. Oh, and then round 2 comes up. Like they're just they think like that we finished like maybe this one, but then round 2 comes and all these other motherfuckers. It's
the way the elevators keep opening up. There's just so many monsters, and they get released, and so they move on from the security team and they start killing all of the like employees that work there. And so just basically pandemonium, all hell breaks loose.
That's where the masked people show up. That remind me of the Strangers. And Truman at this point is saying like, we've got a code black, and then their power goes down.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to other things, like there's a creepy clown that basically got shot like 6 times. He wasn't going down.
We just see all these murders happening.
I love the Pegasus stabbing too.
That was really cool. I was like, that's badass. Yeah.
And then I put, Patience made it down there too. She made it to the show.
She ended up showing up last.
But then then we go back to our main control people, and Truman's getting ripped apart by some zombies, and he conveniently blows himself up.
And it sends Hadley all the way across the room, and then as he's like in his stupor, like kind of like, whoa, what's happening?
From the explosion.
Gets confronted by the merman. Finally.
Yeah, he goes, come on.
He gets attacked in the most glorious.
He got what he wanted. He got the merman.
And then the blood coming out of the blowhole in the back is pretty awesome.
I was like, hell yeah.
And that was all
fun.
practical effects too.
That's so good. I loved it.
And then after that's whenever you pan back to we're with Dana, right? And Marty, and they're in the little control room that they're in, and then there's this like bat fire thing,
some
that
sort of like
zombie,
or what's it called, Dracula, like vampire
breaks through, and it's like then it's like forces them to have to leave where they're at, and now they're in the midst of all the chaos, and
they're running. They escape through that hole,
in the wall,
and then that's when what's his name?
Sitterson.
It's such a weird
because right
word.
before that, I know.
Name.
So right before Sitterson goes down there, we know that they're down there, but he's trying to escape, and it's the way that I forget the girl name scientist.
Oh
but
yeah.
She gets like snatched up by the tentacle arm, and then like he goes down, and then as he's running through there, and this like kind of old style like Indiana Tomb kind of vibes, like gets stabbed by Dana. And I guess it's pretty fatal because he dies pretty fast. But he just tells her to like, please kill him.
Yeah, he's and then Marty goes, here, you'll feel more comfortable with this, and hands her the gun. And I was like, ooh, maybe you shouldn't have given her the gun,
literally.
Marty.
And so they work their way all the way down to the bottom of this, and they end up going into this like very bottom pit where they start seeing
it's a room where they fill all the blood up.
The ruins of like the stones that have the pictures of what we've been seeing throughout the whole movie.
Yes. It's illustrations of the whore, the scholar, all that
stuff.
Thank
you. And so they're down there, and finally we get an explanation from none other than Sigourney Weaver.
Because Dana's saying they want to see us punished, but they're like, why us? And then she goes, well, it's always required youth, says Sigourney Weaver. And she goes, first we have the whore, who must die first. Then the athlete. The scholar, the fool, and lastly the virgin, to live or die, whatever fate decides. And then that was where she said, well, we work with what we have. And I was like, what do they mean? And then this is where I was like, did the teacher do something without consent? My brain just immediately went there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then so we have them going through this whole thing, and she's trying to explain to them what's happening and how Dana needs to kill Marty in order for the rest of the world to survive. And then that's when we see Dana kind of like really considering this for a whole moment.
Yeah, because she says we're talking about the agonizing death of every soul on this planet.
Yeah.
Or just you two can die.
Yeah.
Or really just
Marty at this point. But granted, the director would
you
never
can die
let
with
her.
them or you can die for them.
Yeah.
And then cue Dana holding
And
the gun
so
in his head.
then she's about to shoot him, but she gets attacked by the werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
And then that whole mess starts happening. She's getting attacked by the werewolf. And then a whole fight starts between Sigourney and Marty.
Mm-hmm.
As he's trying to get away from her because she's trying to kill him with the gun.
Yeah.
And then what's
and
her name?
Patience
Little
makes
Patience
her way
comes
down
all the way
down.
and
She comes
she
set the record straight.
comes right as Sigourney's about to shoot Marty in the head. She hits her in the back of the head with an axe and kills her. And then like Marty just pushes them off.
He kicks them both over the
Wow,
ledge.
they ain't coming back from that.
And then we get we get Marty and Dana. Dana has then, because thankfully Marty shoots the werewolf off of her. Although he allowed her to get attacked by the werewolf, he then was like, fuck, like I can't do this to my friend, even though she was about to shoot me in the head.
Yeah.
And he shoots the werewolf off. So then we get a bleeding out Dana and a very also injured as well, Marty. And they're sitting there, and that's where they say, like, I don't even think Kurt has a cousin.
Yeah, for sure. And they smoke the little joint he has. And
Yeah,
just basically awaiting the end of the world happening.
Yeah, she's like, I'm so sorry I almost shot you. And she goes, I probably wouldn't have. And he's like, I'm sorry I let you get attacked by a werewolf and then ended the world. And then I put, what a way to go out, just smoking a fat blunt as the world literally collapses around you.
Yeah.
And then he says, giant evil gods, like, I wish we could have seen them. He said that would have been a fun weekend. And then it just
He's
ends.
going to see them soon. Well, yeah.
The earth starts crumbling, and then we get a giant hand
just popping through and just
slams
gripping
down,
on
and
the
that's
dirt.
the end of the movie.
like a titty.
Like a titty.
Or like an ass cheek.
Get you a handful of booty
Just
cheek.
grasping it. Yep. And then we have the movie ending.
So
I really enjoyed the movie. I really liked it. Even
Boot
talking about it
tights.
now, I really like it.
yeah, talking about it makes me like
It's
it
really
more.
fun. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a fun movie.
It is.
Because it's like, it's just fun. It's not like a classic horror movie, but you still get the same elements of like the gore and like all the things that you do like of
You
a
get
horror
slasher,
movie.
you get a little bit of
comedy,
spooky,
like all of it.
comedy, yeah, you get all of it. It's good.
I would give The Cabin in the Woods a solid 4. Yeah.
Yeah. Any particular? Well, because of
BooBaes.
everything you just said.
Just everything, like its own like commentary on itself. It's a little meta. It's like very much like, it's very smart. It's very thoughtful. It's very provocative. It's very like like not heavy on the nail or whatever on like
nail on the head.
yeah, but like just enough to like give me some innuendos, some nuance, some like very well crafted, like not jokes, but just like the irony of it all. Like it's just really good. Yeah,
it is.
I think it's well thought out, and it's a fun ride. There's just a lot that goes on, and it's really exciting. So yeah, for that reason, I would give it a solid 4 boos. And I would watch it again, and I recommend it to all of our BooBaes out there, because I think it's like, even for people who don't like horror movies, like I think because of the lightheartedness of it for the most part,
I think
with
that
the
it's a very
comedic
approachable.
interjections, it leans more to like just you having a good time watching it.
Yes, I agree.
Do you have a boo rating for it?
I do,
possibly?
and then I have some
notes from
other people. I think yes. I think yes. I'm trying to like, I'm in between like a 3.5 and a 4. So maybe 3.75.
Find your words.
3.75.
3.75.
I really did enjoy it quite a bit.
Yeah.
I will say it did take me watching it, not only because of the ending, but like I think I really fully appreciated the film more watching it again a second time. So I feel like this is not a film you can just like, it's not a one and done.
Yeah.
Like if you want to get the full aspects from it, much like Get Out and everything too, there's so many little subtleties that if you watch it multiple times, I feel like you can really actually come to terms with it and see all the Was that your beard on the? Okay, I was like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
that
my
sound?
bad.
But yes, I feel like you can get the full appreciation for the film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's so many things that they like intertwine throughout the whole movie that you're like, I didn't see that.
Yeah, there's little things you notice each time.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have some other ratings. So this is from a listener named Derek, and it is his favorite film. So I said, give me the spiel. Like, why is it your favorite? And then I said, and a boo rating. And he put, clearly a 5. And he said, so he likes the old monster movies, and they and they kind of get like the half all the different types of creatures and ways that the teens can die. Like they really cover kind of all of that.
Yeah.
And so he really appreciated that. And then he said, then they do it again with basically this giant god destroying the planet and stuff. And he said, it's a bit cheesy, but I love cryptids and myths, and to see so many of them, even for a short period of time, because really when you see all the monsters, it is
right at the end of
it's
the movie,
literally just
climax,
like a split second.
or
he said,
like through the elevator scene.
Yeah. And but it's just awesome to see all of that.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I
love his experience.
For that reason, it is his favorite. Mike the God also said that he really loved this film, and he gave it a 3.5 because of all the cartoony. He said it felt very
that's right. Yeah.
like Scooby-Doo kind of. It was, and it was so different. Like you said at the beginning, it being its own, like there's not really any horror films out there like it.
It's in its own kind of niche little
it is
subset.
Do I want to give it a 4? Maybe I do.
Robert gave it a 4.
4.
Or no, 3.5, I think.
3.5.
But he really enjoys it too and likes it.
Good.
Yeah,
Was it,
really good
had he seen it
He's
before?
Seen it before.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the way that he'd seen it so many times. He really likes it that like he was, as we were watching it, he was like reciting lines.
Oh my God.
Like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love
So
that.
he really likes it.
Then he had to have been a 4, not 3.5.
I think it was a 3.5.
Oh my God.
No, he was a 4. He was a 4. You're right.
Be a 4.
I think I initially at like when we watched it on Friday was like 3.5 for me.
Yeah, that's what I was feeling. But now
that
we've talked about it and everything, again, 4. I say 4. Okay. Yes, 4.
You heard it here first.
4 from, we've got a few other sprinklings in there, but 4 from the important ones.
Together,
That is us.
I feel like that's a solid rating.
It is, yeah. So that's a 4 from your BooBaes for 2012, filmed in 2009.
Yeah.
Cabin in the Woods. But as always, we are in the lovely Rogue Media Network studios. This was a little bit of a long one today.
It was just a little bit.
Jeffrey's here taking care of us as we get hammered on mimosas. He's like, I'm asleep. No, I'm just kidding.
And thank you, to you, my fellow BooBae.
For bringing these mimosas.
Literally. It's been a day.
It has. But you can listen to us and along with all the other Rogue Media Network podcasts on multiple streaming platforms.
Such as
Apple
Podcasts.
Apple. And also Spotify. And then you can also find us on Rogue Media.
Yeah, network.com.
That's right.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And then,
Giant
as
home.
always, just make sure to check out all the other podcasts as well because there's so many out there.
There is.
You never know. You might find a podcast that you didn't even know you'd love.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
you need in your life.
That you need, like I said, King
Right
of the Hill
now.
podcast. But don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you do listen.
Please do.
It's the only way we can get ahead in life.
We're like Tinkerbell. We need your claps to survive.
That's right.
Thank you.
I just thought of an ass clapping, but that too.
It's like Patrick. He's
Yes.
exercising. But yeah. And what else is there?
You can find us on exactly one social media platform, being
At BooBaes Podcast.
That's right, and it's on Instagram.
It's on Instagram.
And that is at
BOOBAA. At BOOBAES, and that's just BooBaes, not BooBabes, because we're your BooBaes, not your BooBabes.
That's right.
And I promise these mimosas are not hitting that hard.
I mean, between the two of us, we killed a bottle of champagne. So, but yes, on that note, I think it is time to
over
hang
and
the
out.
hat.
Yeah.
Bye, Baes.
Bye, Baes.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.
Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.